was brought out before as a sniper for parting in their matchup in the playoffs. Unfortunately, it did go down to parting in that game, but, you know, practicing a ton of PvP, I'm sure. He got a lot of games to look at of Zest, even in the playoffs as well. So he is probably very prepared. But what it's going to come down to is, of course, who is the better player, who's going to play better in this game specifically. And in my heart, I say Zest, but we've been wrong 3 in a row.
Yeah, we actually have for these, which is pretty unusual for me to be incorrect in predictions. But
yeah, you're a wizard basically.
But today things have gone the opposite of how I've expected. Terminator, a very solid Protoss. Definitely the underdog here, though. The map, as mentioned before, Habitation Station, 2-player map, so we could see some very aggressive play out of both of these players, maybe Blink Stalkers, perhaps just 3 gateway pressure. I don't think we're going to see any risky fast expands on this map. Certainly not to the gold base. That would just be absurd. Especially because gas is really the limiting factor in Protoss versus Protoss when it comes to getting ahead of your opponent. And minerals, yes, you would love to have more minerals than your opponent, but it's not really worth the risk, I feel, on this map to try to do a crazy fast expand. Fast expanding in Protoss versus Protoss, hard enough as it is. It's super hard to take one so far away from your main base.
Yeah, especially on this map. I don't expect to see anything like that, but I don't know. We're going to have to see as we go into this game.
Yep. Players are in the lobby. It's ready. This could be our final game if Terminator is able to pull an upset here. If not, we'll go to the ace match.
Up here in the top right of the map, the red Protoss for KT Rolster. This is going to be Zest.
Highly favored here. Did all kill SK Telecom by himself. The top left in blue, the JINAIR Protoss. It's Terminator. And
I love the blue rings around the gases.
They do look cool.
It's very cool.
I like the, just in general, different looking geysers on certain maps. Really like that, depending on the tile set. Probably see even more on Legacy of the Void, I would guess. I just one thing that's missing today, actually, I meant to mention this earlier, are the Green Wings girls. They are not here today. They've been here like almost every other day that JINAIR has played, but today they are not.
You're right. No Green Wings girls here, just Flash girls.
Yeah.
KT girls, I guess you could say. A fan of the Korean casters.
Yeah. Forever.
Forever with the heart.
What's your name? Pro League.
Pro League girl. Pro League girl. I don't know.
She could be a dancer.
I don't know what's happening out in the studio. Someone was laughing like a hyena.
Yeah. We've got a very enthusiastic SK Telecom fan screaming. It's very serious. And by SK Telecom fan, I mean a fan of the da-da-da-da-da intro.
Okay, because I gave you a weird look. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, but you cleared that up for me.
Yeah, I thought you might thought that I was misspeaking because there's no SK Telecom in either of these two teams right now.
I was confused.
Don't be confused. Don't fret, Brendan.
I'm glad you cleared it up for me.
Zealot being made for Terminator. Zest deciding to skip that. Terminator will likely cancel his Zealot, but he is making it for now. Could send it across the map, though, with some pressure. Second gateway, meanwhile, being added right now for Zest.
Yeah. And so far, both of these players deciding to scout, so they're both going to get a good look at what the other player is doing.
Yeah.
Terminator is going to want to get a good look at this, the fact that the second gateway is going to go down. He's going to have to account for that. We've seen Protoss players take a risk you know, maybe build a sentry here or there, try to force field the ramp. They fail and then they lose. Or, you know, there's just too much pressure with the double gateway coming your way and they just don't have enough units. We've seen this happen a couple times in PvP.
Yeah.
And Terminator has to be aware of this.
The Zealot that's out on the map right now is, you know, I mean, it's a small ground presence, but against the 2 gateway opening of his opponent, that Zealot's not going to be able to accomplish a whole lot. These 2 Mothership cores finishing at almost identical timings, just going to pass by each other. And look at this. 3 gateway pressure, chrono boosting the warp gate research. This is when the Zealot comes in handy. It can help you force your way into your opponent's base just a little bit faster, whereas we have Stargate now going up, back at home for Zest. That's a great stalker location to deny the Mothership core scout.
Yep. So far, Zest has no idea what's going down here for Terminator. And this Zealot getting caught out a little bit here. The Stalker's going to walk up into the base, actually.
I wonder if he's actually going to get to see the 2 gates. I don't think so.
Doesn't get to see it. Another Stalker pops out as well as that other Stalker here. Could maybe move his Mothership core down at the same time, but doesn't decide to do that. Observer pointing that out as well. Forward pylon is going down here for Terminator as well.
Yeah.
Here comes the Mothership core.
This is tense. Mothership core now with 100 energy.
And then Nexus started.
Nexus does go up for both players, in fact. And he's got the warp gate research now. Is he just going to try to run by, or is he just going to use these defensively? Looks like he's completely abandoned the idea of committing to a direct attack. Warp gate research done, does not make any warp ins, and is just going to be content to stay at home. Problem with this being that he spent a lot of chrono boost, invested a lot in those gateways, whereas now his opponent has the better tech in multiple facets. He has the robotics, he also has an Oracle that's going to come across the map, and a Nexus. So things looking pretty good for Zest here.
Yeah, Zest getting that robotics slightly faster. Deciding to make a Void Ray.
I think he's like a little bit concerned that he might be attacked because he knows his Nexus is a little bit greedy.
Yeah, he was going to come in here with his Oracle. He's going to spot that Nexus, and thought he was just going to turn around and go home and be like, all right, I saw that Nexus, but no, he's going to come in here into the main.
There's just too much anti-air.
Yeah, too much on the ground here for Terminator. He's going to be pushed back.
Gets a good scout, though. Sees the Forge timing, sees the Nexus timing. And he's actually probably just going to hover around here and try to kill any probes, any strays that come around. Back at home gets his own Forge, and actually gets a Phoenix. So we have... Did he finish the Void Ray? I don't think he did. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. Catches those stray probes. Unfortunately, though, there is enough energy for that Nexus cannon. Will stave off the attack.
Yep. Photon Overcharge going to come down. Going to push that guy back. A Stargate being added here for Terminator. Wants to try to get his own air units.
I wonder how this one's going to play out. We saw in our very first Brawls vs. Brawls today, commitment to both players going to Phoenixes a little bit, then switching out of it because they kept trading against each other. Neither player got a massive advantage. And it just made more sense to switch out of the composition entirely. Stargate is canceled here.
Interesting. And that Oracle is going to see that. It is canceled. He does get the revelation onto a very big chunk of that Terminator base here.
Yep, not going to want to make anything with those probes. Want to use a different one for that. Phoenixes are going to come over here and scout. Back at home for him, he's also stopped Phoenix production. So he's, you know, he's just essentially going to try to do some damage here with 3, controlling this ramp right now. Anything he can find out of position, he's going to take. He knows there's only 3 Stalkers here, so the revelation comes in handy. And then he punishes for that.
Yeah, and he actually takes no health damage on any of those Phoenixes. Pretty decent harass here. Not the craziest thing ever, but little advantage.
Yeah, right. And if he can force the overcharge, the second one in the main base with these Phoenixes, for example, then the Oracle can come do damage at the natural without having to worry about that. So he's basically just putting a ton of pressure on here, even with just a few units. Just the threat of losing 1 or 2 probes is very frustrating.
Yeah. Terminator does see the 3 Phoenixes and decides to throw down his Templar Archives. Going to try to get those Archons out here.
Yeah, Archon's a great answer. Charged Archon oftentimes the best answer against somebody who's committing to Phoenixes.
Unfortunately for him, though, only 3 have been made, as well as that Oracle.
Yeah. He, I mean, that's a lot of gateways being added here for Zest. Going up to 6 in total. Is getting his upgrade 7. Click on that. There you go, 7. Is that 8? No, that's 8 actually, in fact.
Yeah. 8 gateways right now for Zest.
Wow, I'm bad at counting, man. Wow.
You're like, he has 4 gateways. I'm like, no.
You're like,
no.
whoa. We've talked about this.
Also just finished that Twilight Council.
Yeah. He really wants to commit to an attack. I wonder if he will do it with charge. I would really love to see production tab now. I do not know if it's being researched. These High Templar are ready for feedbacks. Whoa.
Whoa.
Keep it steady, man. Keep it steady.
Slow and steady wins the race. That applies to map control as well. Mini map control.
As well as observing, yeah.
Yeah.
There go the feedbacks, one of them.
They are able to push the Phoenixes back without them able to do much damage.
You have to be so careful, actually, about trying to feedback Phoenixes because High Temple will die so quickly to them. And if you feedback the Phoenix that is doing the lifting, it will still be able to keep the lift because it doesn't need the energy to hold the lift. It only needs it to start it, and then you can lose your High Tempo very quickly that way.
Another Revelation goes down, as well as both of these guys throwing down a 3rd base each.
It's very annoying that Revelation constantly scouting, constantly giving them a lot of information, and there's no way to deal with that without making a Stargate. And it's like, well, is that worth the commitment to a Stargate? Obviously not, but there's nothing you can do about the Oracle unless he just is able to get lucky and catches it. Really cool play that we're seeing from Zest here. I like that a lot. And here we go, moving across the map with all those gateways. He could commit to an attack, but without warp ends, he doesn't have an advantage enough to actually commit to this yet.
No, both of these guys are very similar in army supply. It looks like Terminator a bit up on him. He's going to throw down that forward pylon, and he does warp in a bunch of units back at home, so he does gain the advantage. Zest does.
Yeah, and he gets +2, and his charge is done. Here we go. He's going to commit to the attack now. The Archons here, the Immortals are being lifted. Doesn't make a huge difference because there's not a lot of armored units here for them to fight, but it's the right choice for him to lift those. With the Warp Prism here, he has so many gateways. He's taking a little bit of a lead in this fight. His Immortals, on the other hand, surrounded by Zealots, he's finally going to push. He's going to push the army back here of Terminator.
Yep, he's going to push it back here. Terminator backing up and getting a little better position, but the Immortals lifted once again. These 3 Phoenixes coming in such handy here. And at the same time, this Oracle doing so much damage to that Geyser.
To that Geyser. Also gets a few more kills.
Yeah.
And here comes that Warp into Zealots. So key here, the Stalker Heavy Army. What's left of it is being obliterated by those Immortals. Now he can kind of control this zone here and maybe even begin to attack his opponent's 3rd while he mines freely at home in his own 3rd. There is a cannon there on the other hand. And his 3rd, Zest that is not actually mining right now. It's up, but it's not being utilized. Worker count dead even at 46 for these 2. Okay, 1 probe's mining.
The 1 probe back at home. Seems like he's not getting those probes up. He just wants to produce as many units out of all those gateways as possible.
I think we had a feedback on the Mothership Core. I heard a feedback noise. Regardless, there's no Mothership Core for either player right now. No Time Warps, no Nexus Cannons. Very patient play here by Zest, just poking a little bit. Yeah. Not overcommitting at all.
He is just on the very edge with those 2 Stalkers. At the same time, though, looks like 1 Zealot here out of Terminator is going to come in at 3rd base.
Yep, he's just zoning this army out, always wanting to have the better concave on the bottom of the ramp, and he's going to have that. So that 1 Zealot will be countered by a warp, and he's going to need a 2nd Zealot, though, because he warped in right on top of the Zealot that was there. There goes the 2nd one. And that High Tempo will go down for free. That's a lot of gas lost. And if he can actually kill this Nexus, which it looks like he will be able to, he's going to take a pretty significant lead. He's already ahead as it is. I really want to see the gateway count, you know? I don't know how many gateways actually that Terminator has right now, but it seems like that's his problem here, just not the production. Here we go.
A lot of Zealots for both of these players, though a little bit of a flank here from Terminator with those 6 Zealots warping in at his 3rd. It's hard to say here. Looks like Zest has the bigger army so far.
Yeah, that Oracle's helping out so much here. There's no anti-air. He's just able to do so much damage to his opponent's light units. And it looks like he's going to carry that momentum now into the natural. Zest, he has done it again. Winning 5 matches now in a row. GG. We will be going to that ace match. Zest and Stats, the 2 Protosses of KT. Man, you see them smile for like 10 milliseconds there. You saw me.
I saw it.
He cracked that smile.
Smirk.
That was like...
Zest has to be very pleased with his performance. I'm sure KT is as well. 2 Protoss players here coming for KT Rolster to bring it back to this ace match for them. Zest looking so good, man. And Terminator, again, a very not the worst play, but just not holding up to the power of the Zesty play.
Dude, Zest versus Maru, or Flash versus Maru?
I think you send out Zest here. I think after Flash and TY's performance, I wouldn't put them out.
I would
honestly
agree, because if you put out Flash, you're probably facing Maru. I think there's like no question in anybody's mind Maru is going to be ace player for JINAIR. And Flash has already lost to Maru.
Yeah, I can't see that.
And
I wouldn't even put TY out there